Today, we're going to talk about a dark comedy film called Blackmail. Get ready for some spoilers ahead. Our main character, Dev, works as a marketing manager at a toilet paper company. Instead of going home to his beautiful wife, Reena, he always stays late at the office playing Pac-Man. Dev tries to message Reena before leaving, but she never responds. Feeling frustrated, he goes to the washroom to relieve some stress. However, he should find a better way to cope with his problems instead of using inappropriate photos of his colleague's wife. Clearly, Dev's marriage is in trouble and they hardly communicate. Their conversations mostly revolve around bills, making him feel like an ATM machine. A friend advises Dev to bring some excitement back into his marriage. The suggestion is to surprise Reena by going home early with flowers. Unfortunately, all the flower shops are mysteriously closed that day. Now, Dev needs to get creative. Stealing from a cemetery is out of the question. After all, he should know better from watching horror films. Somehow, he manages to steal flowers from somewhere else, but he would never consider stealing from the dead. Dev arrives home to find his wife in a seemingly good mood. Just as he's about to enter the bedroom, he hears another man's voice. Naturally, he feels furious upon discovering his wife's infidelity. Will he burst into the room and attack them? No, he walks away heartbroken and throws away the flowers. Once the other man leaves, Dev follows him to a huge mansion that even Batman would envy. Dev bribes a security guard for information and learns that the man's name is Ranjit. Interestingly, Ranjit is also trapped in an unhappy marriage where his wife controls every aspect of his life, thanks to their wealthy family. Dev returns home and acts as if nothing happened. He finds Ranjit's contact information on his wife's cell phone and decides to blackmail them for money. Little does he know that Ranjit is actually broke too. To pay for the blackmail, Ranjit lies to his wife, claiming that he's starting an import business. Ranjit secretly hands over the money to Dev, hiding it in a garbage bin. Dev successfully takes the first ransom without revealing his identity. Overjoyed by his success, Dev goes out to celebrate with his friend, fueled by alcohol and encouragement. He reveals his wife's affair and his blackmailing scheme to his friend. However, things don't go well for the cheater. The girl's parents easily see through his lies. The girl's father grabs him by his sensitive parts and demands immediate repayment without any money or options. Ranjit decides to betray his lover and blackmails Reena anonymously with his own affairs. But Reena doesn't have money either, so she tries asking her parents for cash, but they refuse. However, she surprisingly manages to get money from our main character by telling him it's for her father's medical bills. Meanwhile, Dev's friend goes on a date with their new female co-worker, hoping to get her drunk. Instead, he ends up getting drunk himself and accidentally reveals Dev's secret to her. This turns out to be bad news for Dev because now the co-worker is also blackmailing him. Dev realizes that he's in even deeper trouble and owes more money than before. So what does he do next? He decided to blackmail Ranjit for more money, which then leads to blackmailing his own wife. The cycle of blackmail continues. Ranjit decides to hire a private detective to find out who the blackmailer is. In a strange turn of events, he buys the cheapest gun from a blind woman. What could possibly go wrong? The detective starts investigating and finds another letter asking for money from the female co-worker. Dev gets her address from his friend and pays her a visit. He tells her that he won't pay her anymore, but she threatens him with false accusations of sexual assault if he doesn't comply. In a tragic accident, the girl slips and falls, resulting in her death. At the same time, her parents arrive, blocking Dev's escape. In a desperate attempt to flee, Dev strips down to his underwear, puts a shopping bag on his head, and runs while being chased by the whole neighborhood. Luckily, he manages to escape. The next day, many police officers show up at the workplace to investigate the girl's death. Dev tries to convince his friend not to betray him, but his friend refuses, claiming they were never friends in the first place. Dev decides to take matters into his own hands. He steals the guy's car keys and plants suspicious evidence in his car, which the police find during their interrogation. Before Dev can catch a break, he receives another phone call, this time from the private detective Ranjit hired. The detective has discovered Dev's name and is now blackmailing him. With no other choice, Dev agrees to a meeting. Meanwhile, Ranjit's wife starts to feel more and more suspicious about his whereabouts. She decides to follow him and discovers that he is indeed cheating on her. Upset and angry, she waits for him at home and confronts him. In a fit of rage, she grabs a knife and injures him in a sensitive area. In self-defense, Ranjit pulls out a gun and shoots her in the stomach. He shoots her a few more times to ensure she is dead. Later, Ranjit receives another blackmail message from someone named Death. He tries to blackmail Reena for more money, which she asks Dev, but this time he refuses his words. Feeling indifferent and remorseful, Dev decides to call his mother-in-law for support. Surprisingly, they discover that no tests were conducted. Dev becomes suspicious about his wife and investigates why she asked for the money. It is revealed that she had unknowingly taken the blackmail money and handed it back to Ranjit. Dev captures some incriminating pictures of Ranjit for leverage and contacts a private investigator. He pays the investigator a ransom and asks him to do a favor, to inform Ranjit that Dev is a friend of the blackmailer. Ranjit receives a call from the private investigator, who reveals that the blackmailer is Dev's friend. Ranjit drives to meet him and shoots him dead. Panicked, Ranjit returns home to clean the blood off his hands, but realizes that the water supply to his area has been shut off. Meanwhile, Ranjit's in-laws come to check on their daughter as she hasn't been responding to their calls. They find Ranjit covered in blood, and he accidentally claims that the blood isn't from their daughter. As a result, Ranjit is arrested and sent to prison. Dev anonymously sends the incriminating pictures to his wife, revealing that her blackmailer was actually her lover. Heartbroken, she deletes all traces of him from her life. Overwhelmed with guilt, she tries to make it up to Dev by cooking for him, getting dressed up, and inviting him to come home. However, when Dev sees her message, he deletes her contact information as well. He finishes one final round with a cardboard model and leaves his office.